Hi, everybody. We're going to be streaming live here on YouTube as well. For those of you who are watching on YouTube now, if you do want to ask questions for Adronis, you have to be on Zoom. Okay, so just go to oops. So if you want to join us on Zoom, just go to newearthteachings.com and you'll see the poster there, Adronis Final Transmission. Click on that poster. You see the registration form, fill out the registration form, and then you'll be entered into the Zoom room. Okay, so we are only taking questions here just through the Zoom room. For those of you who do have questions for Adronis today, just through Zoom only. So you'll be able to watch on YouTube, but questions come through Zoom. Okay, and we're going to be getting started here in about 3 or 4 minutes. So again, just sit back and relax, and we'll be getting started here shortly for Adronis Final Transmission. Thank you. Okay, everybody. So we are going to go ahead and get started here for Adronis Final Transmission. So Zach, just want to make sure everything's good on your end. If you want to just pop on audio, say hello.
Hey, everybody. Yep, all good.
Okay, great. So Zach is going to be the moderator today. So very shortly, he'll be taking your guys' questions after Adronis kind of gives his final transmission presentation. So he'll be doing a final presentation there, and then we'll be getting right into Q&A as well, too. Now, for those of you who are here now on Zoom, what I want you guys to do right now is just click on the raise to hand button, okay? Just click on the raise to hand button by your name, just so you guys know where that is. Okay, this is a very important button. If you guys want to ask an audio question for Adronis, then you just click on that raise hand button. Zach will come over to you and he'll get you to allow to talk. And that's where you want to unmute your microphone. Okay, so make sure you guys are pretty good with your microphones, make sure you remember to unmute your microphone as Zach brings you on as well too, okay? So you can go ahead and lower the hand now. You can close down the hand button now. And you guys can also ask questions on Q&A here on Zoom, all right? So there's a Q&A button on your app that you can click on, and you can type in your question there as well. Now, here's the important thing as well. We're only taking 2 questions per person, okay? So I'll repeat that again. Only 2 questions per person. So we have a lot of people on today, all right? And we want to give a lot of people a chance to ask questions, okay? So you have 2 questions to ask Adronis once we get into the Q&A. So just be aware of that, all right? And again, hello to everybody on YouTube. As I said earlier, for those of you who are on YouTube right now, you will not be able to ask questions on the YouTube chat. We are only taking questions through live attendance through Zoom, all right? So to get into this Zoom room, all you have to do is just go to newerteachings.com. On the home page there, you'll see the poster, all right? The poster that says Adronis Final Transmission. And click on that. You'll go to the registration page. Once you're done registration, you'll go right here. Okay, it's a free webinar. Don't worry about it. You're not paying for anything. It's absolutely free today. All right. So again, welcome everybody. I'm very happy that you're all here for the Adronis Final Transmission. I had somebody say, why is it called Adronis Final Transmission? Well, I've been talking about this pretty much all month long, right? And a little bit late into July as well, too. This is Adronis's last transmission. This is his last channeling. As you guys know, if you guys are just new to what's happening here, if you're just suddenly coming up out of the grapevine and, so I haven't talked to Brad in a few months, what's going on here? Well, this again is me concluding the channeling journey, right? So as I said, I'm leaving the channeling journey behind. I'm still going to be doing some extraordinary videos and sessions as well too in October. After this is done, after August 31st, I'm going to be taking a 1-month break for the month of September. And then I'll be coming back in October, continuing to do private sessions, the EQ method, 3-question private email sessions, and so forth. That's on newerteachings.com. But this channeling journey is coming to an end, right? So if you guys are not too sure what I'm talking about, just go onto my YouTube channel. You'll see all the new videos that are there where I talk about the end of the channeling journey, where I'm going to be moving into spirit communication. I'm going to be doing spirit talk. So in the best way, in the short way I can put it, it's that there's no more middleman in between to receive information from source energy, from spirit. So basically, I'm going to be serving the function as Adronis has in receiving all the information. So I'm being the natural conduit, and I do not need a middle person to do it anymore, right? It's actually been like that for quite some time, where I didn't really need to bring Adronis in for a lot of the information that comes through, but people wanted to talk to him, and people wanted to get information from him in that way. And so this is what's basically just wrapping it all up and just basically removing that net. Adronis put it together very poetically, I would say. It's kind of like the son that's leaving the father's house, going out into the world to teach, and the father is just very, very happy to see his son go while he stays at the house and takes care of the house there. So this is very much the journey that is unfolding right now. I'm very much looking forward to it. We're going to see some really amazing videos and sessions to come as we get into October. So I know a lot of people are saying, oh my God, it's the end of Adronis. Maybe Brad's not doing this anymore, right? Brad's hanging up. Like I said, I'm not going to be ever hanging this up, guys. This will never be hung up. I'm going to be doing this to the day I die. Simple as that. But it's just a change. It's a change. It's a transformation that's coming through. It's kind of like, you reach adulthood and you don't need to be in your parents' house anymore. And now you're going out into the world. And so this is basically the equivalent of that, by ending the channeling state and just going into a natural state of spirit communication or spirit talk, which I will be demonstrating in September as I do some videos that will be coming up on YouTube. Anyways, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start off firstly just by doing a bit of an exercise. We're just going to do our chakra clearing. All right. After that, I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis in. He's going to give his final transmission, and then we're going to go ahead with Q&A. So we have about 2 hours today with Adronis. So let's just first get ourselves nice and relaxed, nice and comfortable. Let's take a deep breath in, deep breath out. And you can place your hands upon the center of your chest, or you can put them on your lap, whatever you prefer. All right, we're going to start off with some chakra clearing. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to bring our focus and awareness down to the root chakra, colored red, and again, connected directly to the gonads, to the genital region. All right, so the testes, the ovaries, and we're just, we can bring our energy there, or we can just look at the red energy within our mind. What we're going to do is we're going to be doing some Om chanting. So I'm going to take off my headphones here. So with the Om chanting, what I do is I plug my ears and I'm concentrating on the sound of Om, all right? And we're vibrating that energy directly into the root chakra that you can perceive as the red color, or again, the gonad region of the body, okay? So taking a deep breath in. Om. Moving up now to the navel chakra, which is connected to the Leydig and Hylar cells contained within the tissues of the testes and ovaries as well, or you can see it as an orange color. Taking a deep breath in. Om. Okay, moving up now to the solar plexus chakra, connected to the adrenals, colored yellow, which again, you can focus on the adrenals, so you can focus on the color yellow. Plug in the ears, deep breath in. Om. Moving up now to the heart chakra, colored green, connecting directly to the thymus gland, that butterfly-shaped gland near the center of the chest, near the heart, focusing on that. Deep breath in. Om. Moving up now to the throat chakra, okay, connecting to the thyroid gland, colored aqua or ice blue. Deep breath in. Om. Moving up now to the pineal gland, third eye chakra, connecting to the pineal, or again, seeing it as an ocean blue or an indigo color, whichever you prefer. Deep breath in. Om. And finally, moving on to the pituitary gland, okay, representing that of the crown chakra, because we're not focusing up here, we're going into the pituitary, colored violet. Taking a deep breath in. Om. Okay, one more deep breath in, deep breath out. All right, so all we're doing is we're just Om chanting one time into each of the chakra centers, okay? And what's very important is that vibratory sound that we're directing directly into each of the glands, all right? So just be aware of how you're feeling right now. Okay, if you start to feel a bit high, that's good. That's what happens when we do a lot of Om chanting. Now I'm kind of doing the short version today, but what I'd suggest is that you Om chant a total of 3 times into each chakra center as you continue to do this practice. You get really high afterwards. It feels great. All right. So that would be my suggestion. So thank you, everybody. We are now going to go ahead and you guys can lower your hands from the 5 of you that have your hands up. You guys can lower your hands. It's okay. We're not into Q&A yet. All right. So once we get into Q&A, then you guys can raise your hands. So just make sure all of your hand buttons are closed or turned off. Okay. Yeah, turn them off, guys. Don't keep them on. Come on. All right. Okay, so let's make sure you guys' hands are turned off. Okay. All right. So we're now going to go ahead and guys, you still got 3 hands up. Come on, guys. Do I have to remove them for you? Lower your hand. Lower your hand. That's it. We don't want any cheaters right now. Okay. We're just keeping our hands closed, right? Wait till we get in the Q&A. Then you can press the raise hand button. I know you guys want to keep it on, but no, that's cheating. Wait till the Q&A. All right. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis in now. It'll just take me a minute to bring him through. Once he comes through, he'll give his final transmission presentation. Then we'll be getting into Q&A. So again, remember, only 2 questions per person. Okay. All right. So I will go ahead now and bring Adronis in, and we'll begin. Terra. Soul Star. Siria. Adronis. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast through your internet collective consciousness. What we would ask all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. Everything comes to an end. And at that point of end, a new beginning arises. And this is exactly the situation involving our transmission, our presence upon this world. For approximately 13 years of your time, we have come through this channel, we have come through this conduit, we have come through Brad. And through that near 13 years, we have talked to many thousands of you from all over the world. We have also been able to see something quite bright and beautiful, because we have utilized this opportunity to get to know our human family better. We do not exist upon your planet. We have never incarnated upon your planet. The closest approximation to that is that Brad, in that sense, is a, as you would say, parallel lifetime to ourselves. But we as Adronis have never come upon your planet. It has been through the connection through this channel that has, again, for nearly 13 years, provided us with this opportunity for us to come here and have this sharing of knowledge, this sharing of guidance, of advisement for many of you. We know that, again, throughout this near past 13 years, many of you have struggled. Many of you have gone through very, very difficult times, attempting to understand who you are. For we have had many of those conversations with you. Adronis, I don't know who I am. Adronis, I don't know why I'm here. Adronis, why have I decided to come to the earth at this time? What am I here to do? Just who am I? And we again have had these conversations many times with each of you, only to give you hints, only to drop you breadcrumbs here and there, because those are the questions that you have to answer through yourselves. And all we can really do is just give you hints. For many of you have been just so confused being upon this planet, not sure why you're here, feeling like you have this blank slate as soon as you come in, and wander through life and saying, what's my goal? What am I here to achieve? What am I here to do? Why are all these other people here? Why is all of this human race in the billions here on this planet? What exactly are we here to do? You will never be able to discover the answer intellectually. The experience is the answer. And this is what we have shared with you for all of these years. Let experience be your answer, not intellect, not the assumption of why you believe that you're here. And of course, there have been many questions regarding us. Adronis, can you tell us about your race? Can you tell us about Sirius? And we will commonly reply, it would be much more easier to show you than to tell you. And this is why we have invited many of you into our frequency domain, which, by the way, still remains open even after Brad has concluded his channeling journey with us, which we are going to get into in a moment. But you see, it has not really been about us. It has not been about your star family. We are simply helpers in the background. We are like those tutors that come to you while you're in school to helping you understand a certain type of education, to helping you to remind you to do your homework, as it were. We're not here to give you the answers, for a tutor does not give you the answers. The tutor shows you the process and therefore has faith in your ability to perform that process. Because the tutor reminds you, if you just do it this way, you'll discover the answer. But see, some of you aren't satisfied with that. You want the tutor to basically grab your paper and start writing down the answers on that paper that is up to you to complete. We are nothing more than that tutor, than that guide, than that helper. We cannot tell you who you are. Nobody can tell you who you are. You are the one, through experience, understands who you are. That again has been our journey, is being this tutor alongside you, just helping you out here and there, helping you to understand the process of life. And that process of life, again, is best understood through your experience. What is it that you prefer? In order for you to know that, you firstly look into what you do not prefer, because therefore you're looking at the opposites. And therefore, as you realize, this is what I'm capable of doing. I realize I'm no longer that person. I'm no longer in victim consciousness. I'm now realizing that that is something that I've been holding on to myself for quite some time. I'm now moving into the light now. I'm now seeing myself shining because I've given up that old tendency. I have to look at everything that the shadows of myself have been telling me. That I am feeling too insecure, that I am feeling too vulnerable, that I am feeling too wounded or too hurt, that I am feeling too victimized. And I continue to express that each day. As you discover that, you acknowledge it. As you acknowledge it, you now work to change it. You see? And this again is what the tutor is here to do, helping you to understand, firstly, what you are not. And as you understand, as it truly becomes clear, as that bell rings, and you now realize it, oh, well, that tutor showed me this process. So here's what I do. I go through that process. I do it. I work regularly to cleaning all that up. And now you see the fruits of your results by doing that, listening to what the tutor has to tell you, because that's your way out. That's your rectification of all of these things that have troubled you. For again, we have seen it very, very often for these near past 13 years of time. And again, questioning about us, about where we come from, or really in that sense, we could never accurately describe that to you because we do not exist in your physical dimension. We are not a solid body in your physical dimension. We do not exist as that. We exist as light. That is our nature, a light body. So we still have a construct to a certain degree, but it is a construct that is very, very different from yours. It is very similar to what you would term as a causal body, existing more in a causal realm, to which we have termed as the seventh density. So therefore, where we exist, it is not looking at a solid form. It's not looking at anything linear. As we have talked about, we see everything through spheres of consciousness. And again, that perplexes your mind. Well, what do you mean by spheres of consciousness? What does that mean? You see, this is where we're at a standstill because you don't get it. Your logical, rational mind will not be able to depict that. What does he mean, spheres of consciousness? Which means that we are able to see everything like a honeycomb. We're able to go into a multitude of different realities simultaneously. We are not linear. We do not exist, as you would say, in a single line of expression, but a honeycomb full of it, which we refer to as spheres, multiple spheres of perceptions. And that is how we exist. Brad, for example, just doing this channeling right now, is just one of those images contained in one of those honeycomb cells of the many honeycomb cells that we are now able to access all at the same time. That is how we exist. This is why we don't go into it too much, because you really cannot relate to it, because that's not how your physical conduit is designed. Your physical conduit is designed to be here and to have this experience through a linear space-time progression. But that is not who you really are. This is just the makeup of the body. When you leave the body, you are spirit. As spirit, you see everything. You experience everything. You are everything. But again, as you are contained inside this body, it is an interface for this type of reality. We have called you the ground crew. We have called you also gods in training, because that's what you are. And right now you're going through the final exam. This is the final exam. Everything that you're going through on this planet right now. Can you be heart-centered? Can you stay in the heart despite everything that's happening around your world? You're in the exam classroom right now. And you are feeling all of these powerful events coming together, creating a greater climax that's going to lead you into a much more prosperous world. But in order for you to get through this time and into that prosperous world, you have to decide exactly where you stand right now. You have to start listening to this, not to this. That is what's going to bring you into the propulsion of your being, into the propulsion of a heart-centered one. We know many of you are that. Many of you who have tuned into our transmissions over the years, we have felt your love. We have felt your heart. As we've stated, we've talked to many of you who are confused, but we've also talked to many of you who now have clarity after we talked to you, not because we did anything, but because you did it. We just simply know how to speak the language as a living mirror consciousness to that person, because it is not the ego that is asking you these questions. It is the heart. The heart asks you these questions for you to really reflect upon all these things, for you to now have clarity in saying, I think I'm starting to get it now. Very good. Continue with the process, just as the tutor has shown you. And so, as we get closer to the end of August, this again is the final public channeling that we will be doing through this conduit right now. For there will be other forms of sessions that we will be doing prior to the end of August 31st. But again, not through this particular type of channel, such as your YouTube. But we want to, again, take this time to thank each and every single one of you. And that our love touches all whom we are in contact with. It is like sunlight, the rays of energy that is penetrating each and every single one of us and every single one of you. Because we have not just spoken as Adronis, but we speak on behalf of a collective. And that collective is the collective of Sirius, which means you could say our entire planet is listening to this right now. Not only that, we, shall we say, broaden this energy for others to listen to at the same time. You would say that many alliances, many federations are also tuning into this transmission as well, not through your internet, but through the true net, which represents the mind. So you right now are being listened to by many billions of beings just through this transmission. It's not going to show up that way on your YouTube channel, but right now, many billions of beings are observing this. And they're observing all of you right now that are tuning into this transmission. Therefore, the whole idea is that this has been the idea where we are the representative of a large collective, spanning throughout Canis Major, spanning throughout your own star system, and again, continuing to expand that bubble far and wide. Because this has been a demonstrative teaching. Everything we've been doing for the near past 13 years has, in a way, been a type of harmonious experiment. And what we mean by that is that others are seeing exactly what's happening upon the planet and witnessing how a representative is communicating with others that, again, wish to seek our counsel, our tutelage in that way. And now they are learning themselves because we work with many of these other beings that are looking to be teachers themselves, to be guides, to be helpers, to be tutors in the best way that can be shared. And they therefore tune into these transmissions, the many that we have done over the past near 13 years. And they say, yes, this is what I want to do. But the whole idea is that they discipline themselves a great deal. And they therefore start talking to others. It may be some on your planet. It may be some on others. When the time comes when you become a galactic civilization, there will come a point where you will start tutoring other planets. And we have talked about the very first one, contained within what you would know as Bernard's star. That's going to be one of the first that many of you are going to volunteer to be with, and you will be able to interact with them very similarly to how we're interacting through this conduit right now. A little bit of a different way, but nonetheless that will happen because there will be some of you from Earth that will decide to incarnate on that planet in Bernard's star, as they too are going through their own transformations, not as intense as the Earth, but they are going through challenging times as well. They are going into what you would know as their pre-industrial age. And so many of you will decide to go to Bernard's star, incarnate there as a ground crew. And there will be some of you who will again be, shall we say, the behind the scenes workers. And you will now enter channeling states and start talking through some of those ground crew that will be there to help educate the populace. So as we stated, it will not be as challenging as Earth is, but that's one of them. That's where you're going. This may take a couple of 100 years before that happens, but you will know you are truly timeless. You are truly ageless. You are truly infinite. But that's where humanity is going. So there is that particular one in Barnard's star. There may also be some connections to the Centaurs. There may also be some connections to Nibiru. Nonetheless, these will be areas that you'll be working together with, starting off in that way, because you are going to be mentored by other civilizations. You are going to share all about how galactic civilization works by you being the student, being the pupil. So, like we stated, this is a bit down the road, but nonetheless, that's where you're going. You're going to assist other worlds, just as much of your star family here has assisted the Earth. But the Earth is a very special case. The Earth herself requires a greater, shall we say, intensity of assistance because of everything that's going on here. We have likened the Earth, as we stated, as the crown jewel of the galaxy. And therefore, there's a lot that is being done here that is very, very important for it to be done. Because as many of you graduate from the Earth, you will start to make your way through closer to the core of the galaxy. As you move closer to the core of the galaxy, that is where the light is. That is where the light is abundant. And you will be part of what you would refer to as heavenly worlds. And many of these worlds are truly non-physical. But you will therefore experience that. And this is the requirement. It's called the heart. As you start to open yourself up a lot more, you will travel through the center of the galaxy, if you so choose to, and therefore go upon other worlds that captivate the imagination. There are worlds that exist within this galaxy that you have absolutely no idea. You cannot even fathom them. They are beyond beautiful. It would be no more different than going into what you would consider to be your heaven. Those are where the true, shall we say, light kingdoms exist. We have been there. And again, we cannot describe them. It is basically heaven. It is basically Eden. You can term it anything you wish. It is paradise. So there will be those of you who will be able to move into the interior of the galaxy, to where the light is the most dense. And you will see these heavenly worlds. You will see these light kingdoms in time. Right now, you have work to do here on Earth. You have to, in that sense, understand, how do I live through this? How do I live through the heart? Because that's what's important. It's not your money. It's not your house. It's not your car. It's not your bank account. It's this. How many people am I willing to help? Am I willing to be on my own side? Have I made peace with everything that is a part of my life? That is the true currency. That is the true reward. Being at peace, evolving yourself, assisting others because they are you. And so again, this has been much of our discussions throughout the years of interacting with all of you. And we want to take this time right now to thank each and every single one of you for once again being here with us in this moment, for sharing all of this with others so that they too can come to us and we can come to them. It has indeed been our loving pleasure to be together with all of you. It is through our greatest gratitude that we have been able to have these experiences with all of you for this near 13 years of time. It has been our great joy to come through this conduit who has really learned channeling quite quickly, but is still learning and will learn again in the next phase about being a natural conduit for spirit, because that's where he is right now. He still has work to do. But again, we believe that he is going to do very well with it, because he is going to demonstrate it. And so our love will always be with him inside his heart. Our love will always be with all of you inside your heart. And as we've stated, our bandwidth, our frequency domain remains open, even after this time to where Brad concludes this channeling transmission with us, which means you still have the ability to connect with us. We will not turn any of you away. You are always welcome to connect with us. Adronis, how do I connect with you? Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. See our name directly in front of you. Adronis. No, it's not Andronis. No, it's not Adonis. Capital A, capital D, capital R, capital O, capital N, capital I, capital S. Adronis. See that within your vision right now, and take your heart tether, that cord that comes out through your heart, and tether directly to that name. And just feel with it. Feel it. Let it bond together with you as we too bond with your energy. And therefore you are connected with us. You are in our frequency domain. That's all there is to it. You can also think of us as you have looked back at all these recordings of how Brad communicates with us. You can think of us in that way and tether to that thought. And therefore we are in your frequency domain. We shall always be here for those of you who still wish to communicate with us further. So again, our loving appreciation, our loving joy, our gratitude to all of you for being a part of this most exciting journey throughout these past 13 years of time. We will now begin with a question and answer period. We now invite Zach to come on. We thank you very much, Zach, and feel free to commence the Q&A in any way you wish. Thank you.
Excellent, Adronis. Thank you very much. We have
And a reminder, 2 questions
question
per person. Thank you.
2 per person. Okay. An audio question from Gerda Velez. Please go ahead, Gerda. Please unmute yourself, Gerda. Okay, we've got an audio question instead from Vibhuti Madhad. Please go ahead, Vibhuti.
Please remember to unmute your microphones, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Vibhuti.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, we hear you.
I'm Vibhuti, and I'm having involuntary movements from 2017. Once I did guided meditation to connect to my higher self.
Yes.
And from then, I'm having involuntary movements, and I think that my chakras are not clear, and this is not stopping. And I don't know what is the issue, but I'm just having my studies on, and sometimes I'm having severe back pain, and these movements are not stopping. And I wanted to know any specific messages and what these messages are telling me, and what should I should do for this.
All right, one moment. We thank you for your question. Now, the whole idea is that you have kinks in your energy flow, and that's why there's involuntary movements. This relates to the idea of blockages happening within the energy body. You have to understand that your body works as a current, or you could also see as a type of river. And when there are obstructions within the river, this is actually what's causing jolts. The jolts or involuntary movements are, again, a great deal of energy that's attempting to flow, but there are, as you would say, obstructions in the way. So what we would suggest to you is that you are actually grounding yourself into the earth much more directly. What we mean by that is go outside, have a lawn chair, have bare feet, and plant your feet directly upon the grass. And we want you to imagine two long cords that are coming out through the center of both feet and planting themselves directly into the core of the earth. As that happens, we want you to imagine brown energy coming up through the earth and connecting directly to your feet and moving that brown energy from the bottom of your feet all the way up to the top of your head. And we want you to stay immersed in that brown energy. As that continues, what you can now do is start to see a very, very thin, clear light coming up from the heavens, coming down and penetrating your crown chakra. And this clear light is just, again, forming itself like a small bubble, going all the way down, once again, to the bottom of your feet, and then going down to the earth. And what we also want to recommend you to do is doing deep breathing as this is taking place. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, filling your lungs, emptying your lungs as well too. As you see this energy flowing through you, making sure it's touching every part of your body, both through the brown energy and the clear energy, this is helping to ground you, and this is helping to stabilize you. So the whole idea here and what's happening is that you are getting the message to ground. You require the ability to ground a lot more because, again, many of you go into these particular types of practices prematurely. And again, many of you are in that sense are not cleaning out the body as it needs to be cleared. This can come through the idea of having to readjust the chakra centers. This can come through the idea in that sense of clearing out any emotional baggage that is in the way as well too. So again, when you do this prematurely, this is where the involuntary jolts can happen. Because again, your body is not quite clean enough to go into that state to connect with the higher self. So this is why you're grounding yourself. This is why you're bringing in the clear light. This is why you're taking in those deep breaths in and out, in and out. And now you're thinking of a loving thought. You're thinking of something that warms your heart. And you place your hand or your hands upon the center of your chest, and you stay in that warm thought. And with that warm thought, we want you to feel it getting bigger and bigger and bigger into a bubble. And as you warm up that bubble, that's what's helping to now, over time, as you do this quite frequently, the alleviation of many of these involuntary jolts. Because again, it has to do with obstructions contained in the energetic body. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Questions?
Okay, we have a text question from Paolo Santalucia. Does nature, such as trees, have a soul? And if so, could you describe the type of soul for us?
If we heard you right, did you say that does nature have a soul? Or does trees have a soul?
Do trees have souls? Yeah.
Yes, of course. They are entities. Everything in regards to creation, everything pertaining to life would represent that of an entity. Now, an entity can be that of a tree. It can be, yes, a human being. It can be a tree. It can be an animal. It can be an insect. It can be a part of nature. So souls in that sense represent the nature of being an entity. It is in that sense a living consciousness. It is a construct. Now, the soul itself is impermanent. By that, we mean in that sense that it's constantly in the state of change because it fluctuates and goes into any particular form it chooses. So it is in that sense much more of a living mind construct. So yes, trees themselves do have souls, as does everything upon your life, upon your earth that represents life. All right.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's great. Second question from Paula. People work with energy at certain locations. And so are trees too planted at certain locations to work with the energy around that area?
Please repeat the question again.
People work with energy at certain locations,
Yes.
such as they're born into a certain location to grid work that area. So are trees as well planted in certain or seeded in certain locations to work with the
Yes.
energy
Yes, there can be.
in
And again,
that
you will tell this
location?
based upon the idea of the fertility of the tree in regards to how it, shall we say, appears to you. So you may see in that sense a very strong, towering tree that looks very, very healthy. Its bark feels strong. Its root feels very, very strong. And it is therefore in a fertile space. Many other cultures who have developed certain forms of structures that again are harmonious to the idea of energetic flow will in that sense trickle all of that energy throughout nature. So again, when you look at Mexico to where there are the Great Pyramids, the ruins in that way, and in that sense nearby where there are trees, you'll discover that many of those trees are quite well and healthy because they're in that sense receiving the foundation, the flow like a fountain of energy that is therefore pouring through the earth. So again, the plants themselves, the trees themselves, based upon where they are to where the soil itself is rich in fertility, which can be assisted by the idea of many of these constructs, these particular forms of buildings and structures altogether, can therefore benefit from the idea of all of this flowing energy that comes through the structure, as an example. So yes.
It's marvelous. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's really good. Okay. Hey, audio question from Caroline Sullivan. Please go ahead, Caroline.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Hello, Caroline. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Adronis, do you have any recommendations to heal the tinnitus I experience?
Have you considered looking into what you term as hydrogen peroxide eardrops?
I've used those in my ears.
All right. How about structured silver water?
I haven't used those in my ears.
Okay. How about garlic mullein oil?
I have not used that.
There you go. 2 more things to try.
Okay,
So
excellent.
the whole idea in that sense is that you're just putting in antibacterial, antifungal agents directly into the ear. And again, what you want to do is you want to keep your head slightly bent for a couple of minutes. We'd say about 2 or 3 minutes as that starts to work into the inner ear canal. And again, as you do this daily, more and more over time, you will notice that that will disappear. Now, again, you can also look into the healing code cards. You can also look into the ear enhancer. That too will also assist in this nature.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
On my second question, what is my star family?
What is your star family? Have you been able to tap into that?
You know, I resonate with a certain master, ascended master. So
All right. You may want to look into the planet Venus to begin.
Okay.
Connecting to the planet Venus, you have a lot of association there.
Oh, excellent.
So that's a place to start. That's not the only one, but that's a good place to start. From there, you'll notice that there will be branches connecting to other stars. It's not quite through the common ones, like you would say Sirius, Pleiades, etc. But you again would start off with Sirius, and it's very good for you to have an astronomy map. Once you connect with Sirius a lot more, you'll feel directed to look much more into the local cluster. So Kruger may also be, in that sense, another particular area for you. Alpha Centauri may also be another, but we would say firstly, start off with Venus.
Oh, excellent. I will do. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Questions?
Okay, we have a text question from Timothy Cox. Brad and Adronis, what is the Christ exactly, and when did Jesus decide to add Christ to his name, and why?
Jesus did not add Christ to his name. He was the Christ. That's the idea. It's not the idea of looking at it just as a name. That is also the idea. When you are looking at the nature of the Christ, you look back into its translation, and you may see in that sense a savior, or the idea in that sense of a chosen one in that particular way, or a Messiah. Not really. None of those definitions clearly put it together in that way. It is one who is God. That would be the nature of the Christ. One who is God. One who knows God. You know God because you are God. That is what the Christ is. He did not add the idea of Christ upon my name, not saying, oh, well, here's my name, Jesus, and I guess Christ will be a nice last name for me. No, it was not of that nature at all. It was not him that brought him that name, but God. So the nature of the Christ represents that to one who is anointed to know themselves to be God, the exalted one that represents him to be God or her to be God. So the Christ in that sense is available to any gender. So the whole idea, again, this is what Jesus represents. He demonstrated himself to be God. This is why he would say, the Father and I are one. That I am in the Father and the Father is in me. And all he's saying is that he therefore claimed his godship. Do you remember what we have said to all of you? That you are gods in training and will in time become gods. When you are therefore moving from gods in training to God, it's the Christ consciousness. It's the Christ light. It's the Christ spirit. You have been Christed because you see yourself as God, not because you're a man or a woman or a child, not because you feel that this is something that is a saying that is just picking you up a little bit more. When you understand that you are Christ, you are God. To know God, you must be God. To see God, you must be God. In other words, the ego self that you represent needs to vanish. As it vanishes, the Christ comes in. Now, again, there are different terms for the Christ. You could look at it as the Krishna spirit or the Buddha nature, etc. They're all really the same. These are, again, just based upon different cultures. But the nature of the Christ is one who knows God, one who is God. And that is how Jesus composed himself throughout his entire life on this planet. He was the living example of someone who goes from God in training to God. You all have the capability of doing this as well. Again, it has been turned into a religion for thousands of years, feeling that Jesus is greater than every single one of you, and that we will create these outrageous stories that he was born by a virgin, so that none of you could ever relate to that, and that he will always hold a high sovereignty above all of you. Nonsense. He demonstrated how to do this. But he came into an era of your time where many of you simply learned how to devote. You really didn't bother to do these practices because you would never really get it. And you're only just starting to get it a little bit right now. But back at that time, it was all about the nature of devotion that would be the appropriate action in being able to plant seeds to move humanity eventually into that point where every single person upon your planet is God. That time will come. It will still be a ways yet, but that is going to come. But it's going to pick up a little bit more. And again, this is why you're dissolving all of these old facets pertaining to corruption, pertaining to darkness and shadow. All of that has to go in order for you to know God. And that is what the Christ represents. One who has completely cleared away all forms of individuality, separate self, ignorant ego, and has replaced it by knowing God. That is the Christ. All right? We thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, we have an audio question from Natalia. Please go ahead, Natalia.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello, Natalia.
Hello. So I have a two-part question. The first part is, would I lose my current job? And the second part is connected to
well,
that.
let's just not get into the second part first. Let's go in the first part.
Sure.
What makes you think you're going to lose your job?
Just the situation unstable.
Which is what?
I was sick and I had to take some time off, and that was inconvenient. And I think I might be retaliated against
That
because
was
of that.
inconvenient. So they expected you to work even though you were deeply sick.
Yes.
Is that the type of work that you want to do?
Well, it's definitely not ideal situation, but
Well, there you go.
considering
This is
yeah.
just giving you the idea of saying, if there's a conflict because I was not well and I was not able to come into work and they were very, very unhappy about that, that's something I need to look into. What is the type of work that you do?
It's finance accounting.
Finance accounting. How do you like it?
It's okay. It's
It's
not,
okay.
yeah.
It's not saying, oh my goodness, Adronis, it's the most amazing thing I could ever wish for.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
what is the most amazing thing that you could ever wish for?
I need help with that too. I'm
You need
still
help with that.
discovering.
What do
Yeah.
you mean? You go
Well,
back into the inner child. You look back and say, it was really, really fun for me to be a musician. It was really, really fun for me to be involved in dancing. It was really, really fun for me to help people, to wanting to make people better in that way, for example. You're going back into those younger years. What did you want to be when you grew up?
it would be something connected to art and creating.
Yes. There you go. You see? Now that is something, if you feel still very excited about that, that's the direction to start moving into, because you know why we say you go back into your inner child? Because your inner child doesn't have so many filters behind it. Your adult self is filled with filters. It's filled with programming. The adult aspect is actually the weakest version of yourself. It's when you go back into the child, when you go back into the inner child, because your imagination is unleashed. It doesn't have all of these leashes upon yourself, very much like how the child is, because you feel you've had to conform. I guess I'll go into financial work. I guess I'll go into numbers, etc. I guess it's okay. I guess I can tolerate it. That's not living life. Living life is being able to live through everything that you know says, this is who I am. I love to create in this way. I love to create art in this way. It brings me such excitement. It's pure creation. That's what you need to get behind. So you're going through a transitional state right now where you can boost that up a little bit more. Maybe you want to decide to go back into that industry. Maybe you'll decide in the meantime that you may want to do something more entrepreneurial to start off in that particular way, to assist others with independent finances, as that helps you to go into this next transition, representing the idea of returning back to art. You see? So the whole idea here is that you put up with too much. You feel in that sense that you know you're not being treated too well pertaining to work because you were ill and not being able to work, and feeling in that sense that other people were getting upset with you. That is something, again, you've just tolerated. But inside you're screaming and saying, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel like I have to deal with this. This is not what I want. You got to listen to this. Got to listen to your heart. So that would be our suggestion to you. All right.
Okay.
What is part two?
Part two, I would like to relocate to a warmer climate, and I was just wondering, is it in the cards? When and where?
Not at this time quite yet, but in the times to come, yes. In the next, shall we say, few months to 1 year, possibly. It may open up a lot more brighter.
Few months in a year?
Approximately.
And is there where it might be? And I'm concerned, of course, with the situation with the COVID, like where it's going to be safe.
Well, how do you feel about living closer to the equator?
Oh dear, that would be quite a change.
Yes, you see.
Yeah.
How does the idea of living around the area of Mexico sound?
It's actually wonderful, but again, the only thing is just the unrest and that kind of situation.
The what?
And again, unrests in the world and the COVID situation. Where is
well, this is
going
why
to
we
be,
say it'll be a few months to about a year approximately.
Okay,
because you're
so
going through this very big transitional time where travel is quite limited. You see?
Okay.
So again, it may be a little bit of time before that happens, but if that's something you want to consider, if you say, Adronis, I would love to live in Mexico, then make that an intention. Meditate on that, make that your whole life, you see? And that's what's going to bring about that opportunity further.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I see.
We thank you for your questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Questions? Zach, are you still with us? One moment, please. Okay, looks like Zach isn't here. He said he's had some technical difficulties with his internet, so hopefully he'll come back. So let me just bring in the next person, and I'll bring Adronis in after I let them in. Okay, Gerda. Gerda, you're live now if you want to unmute yourself. Gerda, are you there? Okay, let's move on. Let's go down to Ben here. Ben, you're live if you want to unmute.
Yes, can you hear me? Does it work?
Yes, let me just bring Adronis in. One moment.
Thank you.
We thank you very much. Hello, Ben. What can we do for you today?
Good evening, Adronis. I'm
Good
very
evening.
grateful.
Good
for
afternoon, good morning, wherever you are on the planet.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity to connect, and I want to thank you, first of all, for all your years of informing us. I've got the feeling that recently, in the last couple of weeks, I've been set on a path like that feels really as part of a mission of myself. I've met somebody else who we both feel that we belong to the Syrian tribe.
Well, that's not really who you belong to. It's the idea of it's just another perspective. Who you belong to is God, your spirit. You see, it's not about looking at incarnation and say, oh, well, that's where I naturally belong. And wrong. That is just another perspective. Think of it in this way. Every night when you go to sleep, you have different experiences of going to different places, different realities, different dimensions. One minute you feel you're on board a spaceship, then another dream happens. Now you're on this paradise-like planet, and you're now running across water in that sense. These are, again, all different experiences that you are witnessing. When you are looking at other lifetimes, that is not saying that's where you belong. You're still playing along with the mind. You do not belong anywhere in the mind at all. Who you truly are is consciousness. You are God. You are the self. That is your true nature. That's what you belong as. You see?
Amazing.
Everything you're doing with the mind, you're just playing games. You're just playing games of incarnation, just like you've come here on earth and you're playing a game. It's a game of separate self. To say, oh, well, here's the big dilemma right here, is that I'm playing a game as a separate self. So what can I do to rectify that, to know that I am whole? It's to work with the heart. It's to clear out all of those misconceptions of what I believed I've been. And so therefore, I'm going beyond the mind to do this. See, the mind is no more different than what you would refer to as a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. The mind's a game. It's not true reality. True reality is pure consciousness. All right? So that's what we want to remind you of.
Thank you very much. My question is about if there's anything that you can tell us about the Ark of the Covenant and a possible relation with Shambhala. And
the Ark of the Covenant, in that sense, was given down to man in that sense. And it was basically given to what we would refer to as devout ones, so that when they actually spent time with the Ark of Covenant through sacred rituals, they would actually awaken with what you would refer to quite commonly as ascended abilities. Simply because in that sense, they were anointed. They had to pass certain trials, as it were. It was basically a type of examination. And being able to be in front of the Ark of the Covenant in that sense was basically to, in that sense, be surrounded by great light.
Okay. And
so in that sense, if they passed, if they were basically able to humble their hearts, they would actually awaken with ascended abilities. They would basically have, in that sense, a transmutation that would take place that would bring back their 12 strands of DNA. So they would go from a double helix to a 12-strand helix if they were able to pass the test, representing humble themselves before the light. Because if they did not humble themselves before the light, it would actually lead much more to a disastrous situation. It would lead more to the idea of a nightmare scenario, because all of their fears and all their temptations and all their desires would flood to the surface. And they, in that sense, would come out of that very much disfigured. But ones who humbled themselves, who moved into a pure-heartedness, was able to move themselves back into the purity of being, to become a refined human with 12 strands of DNA. That's what the Ark of Covenant as a ritual represented.
Okay, thank you. And is it physically still on this planet somewhere?
It is, yes, but kept very much under secret guard.
Okay.
All right, those are 2 questions. We thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions? Zach, are you back with us?
I am, yes, but I don't have co-host privileges.
One moment. Okay, welcome back, Zach. I just did 1 question for you. Let me just go ahead and co-host you.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. I know you have kind of a flaky internet. So.
Power cut as well. Yeah.
Okay, so we got, it's 11 o'clock right now. Okay, we still got some time. 12 o'clock right now. So we still got about 45 minutes left of questions. So let me just bring Adronis back in. 1 moment. All right, please feel free to continue.
Okay, all right, we have a audio question from, okay, we'll go with Corsi Aya. Please go ahead, Corsi. Corsi, please unmute yourself.
Hi, I'd like to know from which star system do I originate from?
Hello, Cozy. Thank you very much for being
Hello.
here. All right.
Thank you.
As we have just said, star systems are not your true nature. Now, we can certainly provide you with an understanding of that question first, but here's the thing for many of you to understand. You are not from a star system. You are not originating from the mind. You see, you do not see your souls. You do not see yourself as spirit. But see, that's who you really are. You are spirit. You are God. You are the self. You do not originate from within the mind. It's just as we told Ben. The nature of the mind is like a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. It's nothing but experiences. It's nothing but games that you're playing. Now, if you want to know more about your connections, you would look towards Arcturus. All right.
Thank you.
So that's one particular degree, but that's not who you truly are. That's just an experience. Do you understand what we mean?
Yes.
Yes? All right. So again, you can certainly play with other different forms of incarnations in that sense, but that again, all in all, is much more of a distraction than anything else. Right now, you are a human being. This is where you need to be. You need to be on Earth, because that's why you've come here. That's the focus. Yes, we can tell you come from different star systems. You can tell that I've had different experiences. I've had different incarnations on different games. And that's, again, what's helping you to understand who you are. So that's all fine and dandy, but that's not who you truly are. Who you are is unfathomable. It is, in that sense, completely undescribable who you really are. And we suggest, Kosa, that you get to know that a little bit more. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
We thank you.
Okay,
Questions?
we have a text question from anonymous attendee. Greetings from Scotland. What is the natural source of oxygen and nitrogen which supports life on this planet, and how are the levels of these gases maintained? Thank you.
Through ethers, through the idea of the ethereal nature, which you cannot comprehend. Everything in regards to the nature of the earth functions through the infinite intelligence, representing the ethereal veil that surrounds it. The ether is all intelligence. It is the logos that represents the planetary sphere. Therefore, everything in that sense is sustained through the ethereal infinite intelligence veil that therefore coats the entire planet. It is not just coating, but again, it is the manifestation of the heart of the logos that represents the earth. So therefore, everything pertaining to the ethereal infinite intelligence ensures the natural balancing necessary for the planet itself to function. It is like the idea of your own aura. It is like the idea of your own field. But again, that field, that aura is who you really are. It is the infinite intelligence that keeps everything together. Therefore, the gaseous nature in that sense is just a byproduct, a physical manifestation of the life force that the earth requires for her to function properly and all life upon her surface. It is etheric in nature. All right?
That's excellent.
We thank you from Scotland.
An audio question from Gerda Velez. Has Gerda had a chance to talk yet?
We do not believe so. No.
Okay. Please go ahead, Gerda.
She was unable to answer before, so we could move on to another.
Okay. Audio question from Killian Hardy. Please go ahead, Killian.
Hello, Adronis. Can you hear me?
Hello, Killian. Yes, we can. Hello.
Awesome. Wonderful to talk to you again. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So I have a quick question. In my region where I reside, there seems
And where
to
is
be a
that?
lot.
Where is that exactly?
The United States.
Whereabouts? Whereabouts?
The western area, Nevada.
Nevada. All right. It's good that you know the name of your state.
Thanks. So there tends to be a lot of smoke outside, and according to the weather app on my phone, it's unhealthy air quality. However, I do want to be taking I have a toddler right now, and I want to take him to the park. He loves being outside. He loves playing in the grass and playing around the trees. And I feel conflicted on some level. I want him to be able to experience these things because I know how much he enjoys it, and I enjoy it myself. But I don't want to risk his health because of the bad air quality. Is this something I'm just going to have to wait out?
Well,
Is
we
there
would
a
say
way?
just do it in small doses and see how it
Okay.
feels. That would be the idea. Right? Now, again, it's very important that you're also giving them oxygen-rich content for their bodies, so you can practice deep breathing for them. Or you may also want to look into the idea of small percentage hydrogen peroxide drops that assist in the idea of greater oxygen production.
Okay.
He already seems excited about it.
Yeah, he's quite excited. We're learning to walk, and with walking comes occasional tumbles.
Yes, of course. So look into that idea in small doses.
Okay, fantastic. And thank you so much. And real quick, I just want to say congratulations to Brad for moving on. It's been a wonderful journey, and we're all so excited to see where it takes him now.
Yes, we are happy for him as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Questions?
Okay, we have a text question from, one moment. Yes, a text question from Brenda Westerberg. Will we see the end of all this COVID stuff anytime soon?
It is coming to a conclusion very shortly, yes. Because again, as we've stated, all this agenda really is helping you to basically realize the falsehoods that have been surrounding your reality as it pertains to authority, as it pertains to politics, as it pertains to government. All of this is meant to create great distrust within the population, so that they are no longer relying upon the dependency of their world leaders and of these authorities and politicians. It creates such a great distrust that this again creates a greater revolution within all of you, so that you are now making better decisions. As we have always said, the people of the planet are the ones who are truly in charge, because you are all part of the collective consciousness. So when you learn to work together and saying that we're going to start creating grassroots systems, we're actually going to start working together with anointing new leaders, because we see who they are really. We see how they've worked aside us, that they do not have hidden agendas, that they're not all about money and greed. So we're going to appoint new leaders. And those leaders are going to be much more in representation to yourselves, because they have been through what you've been through. And that's a stepping stone. And then it will lead into the idea of greater communities to come all together. So the idea of this entire COVID vaccination agenda has all been part of waving the flag of what you would know as a totalitarianism agenda. That's really what it represents. And everybody upon the planet is to know this. But of course, not everybody is going to know this. In fact, again, as we stated, once your planet reaches 2/3 majority approximately, that's what's going to shift the tide. And you're very, very close to that point right now. You would say you're well over the 50% mark, and you're getting closer to the 2/3. And we would estimate that that 2/3 will come around the end of the year or the very start of 2022, around that time. That's just an estimation. Everything can change. But nonetheless, that's where you're going. So as that happens, again, what's happening also is you're pulling out these deep roots pertaining to all of this corruption. All of that's happening right now. You yourselves are pulling out these roots. You are looking at a contaminated garden bed that has been upon your planet for a very, very long time. And now you're looking at your feet and you realize these are where these corrupt weeds are. And so you're getting out your gloves and you're pulling out these weeds. And you're digging and you're digging and you're digging. You're pulling them all out. And now you're tossing them on a big pile. Well, that is you being able to discover the truth. When you discover the truth, you're yanking out these weeds. You no longer buy the sanitized stories that your government and authorities tell you about the idea of vaccinations. You're already seeing exactly how they are conducting themselves. They are flat out admitting their corruption right in front of your face, that you have to do this or else, or there will be food shortages, or you have to have a vaccination card in order for you to eat, etc. Do you not see the corruption right in front of your face? They're being very, very plain and out in the open with it. It's not so clandestine anymore. So these are things that you have to look at. And as that happens, you're going to notice that military, that police, and other forms of faculties throughout your society are actually going to start standing by your side. So this is the whole idea of everybody through all walks of life being involved. Even politicians who felt that they were ethical actually start standing by the side of the people. Your MPs, for example, start seeing this corruption and they start standing by the people. Your mayors of your cities, of your towns, actually start standing by the people as well too. This is all part of it. It's all part of this domino effect where all these dominoes are falling, 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 falling. And as those dominoes fall, they rise up again. And that represents the people. So this is what's taking place right now. It's all part of showing you where the corruption has been. It's been with you all along. Now you're just seeing it as you're taking off the blindfolds. So again, as we stated, we do not feel it will last too much longer, but again, it still has to show a point here. You have to work together. It's as we've talked about previously when we were talking about the human guardians and the cosmic administration, that this is the entire plan, that humanity needs to see with their own eyes and listen with their own ears to all these things that have been happening behind the scenes and no longer existing in the ignorance of denial. And 2/3 of you have to get there. And you're getting closer. That's what's going to bring about the change. When do you want that to happen? That depends when you reach the 2/3 majority. It's getting closer, but it's up to you, not to anybody else beyond your world. All right? We thank you.
Oh, that's great, thank you. We have an audio question from Nick. Please go ahead, Nick.
Yes, hello, Adronis.
Hello.
One question, I have two questions. The first one is, would you be able to tell me which entities, if any, has been trying to reach me?
We do feel a human entity in that sense. The closest name we received sounded like Carlo.
Thank you very
Again,
much.
that's just an approximation, but this would be in that sense one of your guides.
Carlo, thank you very much.
Yes, that's just an approximation from what we can detect of the name.
Okay. Also, would practicing to remember dreams per se in itself, can it be useful for other spiritual goals, such as
Some of you are actually able to go into dreams and actually dream for other people, you see. Now, again, the idea of dreams for yourself, yes, it can be if you wish, but you have to develop yourself with that, which means you have to sharpen up your memory. So you want to do memory exercises that make your brain much more, shall we say, intact to recalling things. So you may want to assign the idea of feelings, The idea of simple riddles in that way, or simple tactics that you are doing to refine the memory connection to your brain. As you do this, when you go into dream time, your memory in that sense becomes a lot more charged because you've been doing work with it, and you retain a lot of these dream aspects of yourself. And you now start to recall them, and you can analyze them should you wish.
Thank you very much, Adronis.
So strengthen your memory center of your brain. That's the key.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Okay, we have a text question from Pat Creighton. Could you please talk about the relationship between astrology and reincarnation? Peace and love.
Well, astrology helps you to look into, shall we say, the internal, shall we say, cycles that represent the nature of your soul. When you're looking into the idea of planetary alignments themselves, planetary alignments, again, are just opportunities or letting you know about the flow of energy. When you have, in that sense, a natural wide birth in regards to an astrological, shall we say, experience pertaining to the idea where you may feel like your Venus is now in a state of exaltedness or dignified in that way, or therefore there's a retrograde happening, for example. These are, again, just letting you know about different forms of energetics. And again, much of their orientations of being, such as the idea of Mars being strong, fiery, passionate energy in that sense. And then again, that this represents yourself. So these are all just external manifestations of what is happening within yourself. That is what represents the nature of astrology in that way. Incarnation is a different story. The idea of reincarnation, as you say, or as we have termed it as simultaneous incarnation, is that incarnation itself corrects the mistake of death. That's what it does. It's for you to continue within this plane from where you left off. You're picking up where you left off. So those in that sense that are very much, for example, following greed and manipulation and corruption in that way, wander from death to death. They die again, and then they're reborn. They die again, and then they're reborn. And they continue to follow that pattern because, again, they're looking to get higher. Their soul wants to get higher. They want to go all the way to God. And this is why you make the decision to come back. And you make the decision to come back because I want to go up to God. That has been my journey here. That's what you would consider to be your grand contract. So many of you will go up to God. As we've said, incarnation is voluntary. But if you do want to go higher up the ladder in that sense, you have to move higher up the ladder relating to life. You are not going to go into the beautiful heavenly realms that are filled with love if you are not loving yourself. You are still bringing yourself into the lower bowels of reality, thinking that you have to be greedy, thinking that you have to use and abuse people, thinking that you have to hurt others because you're hurt. Well, you're not going to be able to reach those higher planes after you leave because you only remain who you are, even after you leave your body. You're still intact. So if you still do not know the nature of that love, you can't touch those other spheres. It's like bumping against a brick wall. Well, what do, Adronis? You go back again. You go back again and you start lifting yourself up because, again, you only remain with what you know. You only remain with what you are aligned to. That's how it is. God only knows what you know. So therefore, as you start to align yourself much more to higher degrees of reality, higher degrees of life by living in the heart, and you start making breakthroughs and you start feeling a lot more compassionate and caring and loving towards other people, well, now that's opening up the other spheres because everything, again, is vibration. You cannot experience what you're not the vibration of. And if you feel that love itself is such a stranger to you on this planet, how do you think you're going to go back into love afterwards? You're not. You have to break that mold. This is why we say, get a lot of this done in this lifetime so that you can indeed visit the heavenly spheres. So you can indeed go all the way up to God because you're familiar with that. What you are not familiar with stays with you. And you come back to the scene of the crime representing physical incarnation to where it exists. And you are bettering yourself more and more, opening up your heart, learning to be compassionate, learning to be loving, to be happy, to be joyful, and living your life in that way. Therefore, when the time comes when you kick the bucket and you leave the body, and now you are spirit once again, you are now familiar with that. And now you can touch those heavenly spheres. That's the idea. So reincarnation, as you term it, corrects the mistake of death so that you can continue your experiences here on this planet to bettering yourself to know God. All right, that's the difference. They're two different things, really, astrology and reincarnation.
Excellent, thank you very much. We have an audio question from Val Lexon. Please go ahead, Val.
Hi.
Hello, Val.
Hello, how are you, Adronis?
We are wonderful. How are you?
Wonderful, also. Well, I'd like to thank you for all the information you have given us all these years.
Yes, we thank you.
Well, my first question is, what are my star family connections?
What are your star family connections? How do you feel about Egypt, Val?
So I'd like to go there.
Why is that?
I feel the same connection. I don't know. I love the place.
Yes. How do you feel about avians, Val?
Avians.
Yes. Birds, bird people.
I like them.
All right. So one of those connections flows to Lyra. How do you feel about the dog or the canine beings?
I love dogs. I love cats also.
Look towards Sirius B because that connects to the canine race, the dog race.
Venus.
So there's two of them right there, Lyra, Sirius B. And you see how, again, we're looking at Egypt because Egypt was a very, very prominent lifetime. And Egypt, in that sense, connected with many of these different beings. Some of them were in the physical, some were not. But there's also large connections to Orion that you have as well. So Lyra, yes, Sirius B, Orion, just to name a few. But as we stated, this is not who you truly are. You are beyond incarnations. You are beyond the mind. Get to know who you are as spirit, because that's greater than all of this. Now, did you have one last question?
Second question. Can you tell me some of the names of my soul?
Your name of your soul is not important. That's the whole idea, again, is that you're putting a name in it. We would say that it's much more of a vibration. All right. So here's what we want you to do, Val, right now. We want you to take your right hand and place it right on the center of your chest, right where your sternum is. All right. We want you just to feel right in between the heart and the heart cavity. And we want you just to feel like a cord is connecting right in the center of your being, right in the center of your chest. And what we want you to do is we want you to see a great light directly in front of you. And that gray light, just basically seeing it as a ball, is now telling you to open your mouth. What sound comes first as you open your mouth right now? Go ahead and demonstrate.
That sound.
What was that?
That sound.
Yes, what's the sound?
I think it's an A.
An A. All right, so ah is the first part. Now there's a second syllable to that. Have your mouth open. What's the next sound?
E.
What is that?
E.
D?
The letter E.
Letter E. Ah, E. Okay. And now there's a third syllable. Have your mouth open. Really focus on the ball, what the ball is telling you. What's the third sound?
Could be an F.
An F?
Yeah.
All right. F. You see? That is not really a name, but a vibration. So what you're using is you're using that 3-syllable unlocking, and we can invite all of you to do the same, just as we described with Val here, that you are tethering to the heart cavity, right at the center of your being, and you are feeling this ball of light coming towards you, and you're opening your mouth and you're just looking for 3 syllables. That again is the vibratory energy representing that of your soul. F.
Wow, very cool.
All right. We thank you, Vel, for your questions.
Thank you, Adronis.
Questions?
Okay, we have a text question from Daniel Zeiler. What will happen with our financial system within the next 60 days? And will precious metals be released from artificial price suppressions for people to use at true value?
Well, your financial system will still continue as it is for the next 60 days. Not as much is going to change there. But in that sense, there are new systems that are looking to come online. So as we stated, that as you move into 2022 and 2023, there's a greater opportunity for a new financial system to come forward. However, in order for that to function, all that have been the suppressors need to get out of the way, because they're the ones that are holding this back. So as they're being taken out of the picture, then therefore that is what's going to bring about the opportunity for a new financial system to rise. But as we stated, you're moving into a reality where you're going to have financial systems, not a financial system. Now, as you talked about with precious metals, yes, that's one idea where you can look into the idea of backed legal tender. There is also digital currency that's available there as well too. And again, it may lead into the idea of more paper money, but it all depends. So again, it's just about the idea of getting the suppressors out of the way so that more of this can be revealed. Some of you may even look into barter and trade. That's another type of currency. So there are currencies that are looking together, financial systems that are looking to come together. All right. What was the second question?
The second question was regarding precious metals and the price suppression around them, and how that may be restored to the precious metals being worth what they're truly valued at.
Not quite for some time yet. Again, right now your planet is going through an uproar. Once it goes much more into a stability, you will discover that your silver is actually more precious of a value than your gold. Right? But that requires a certain stabilization to happen first. Right now, you're bumping up and down with things, and it's not really in a stability factor. So over the next little while, again, as you move into next year, just be aware of this. As there's stability, you would look more into your silver over your gold. All right?
Excellent.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you. We have an audio question from Anita Katzenbach. Please go ahead, Anita.
Hello. Anita, hello.
Okay,
moving on to the next.
Yep, we have an audio question from Sailesh Patel. Please go ahead, Sailesh.
Yes, hello, greetings, Adronis.
Hello, Sailesh. It is good to speak to you again.
Yes, my beloved headmaster, with your cane. I would love and welcome any suggestions that you may have to further assist me in my journey at this present moment.
Which is?
The dissolving of the ego and spiritual advancement.
Self-inquiry, self-surrender. This is how it's done. Who is it that has these harsh thoughts? I do. Who am I? Am I aware? Am I aware of being aware? Can I remain in the I? And if I stay in the I, what is happening to my mind? It now starts to soften because I am remaining in the main root directory to where the mind exists, and I am keeping my awareness there. Therefore, ego cannot interject. Ignorance cannot interject because I'm staying within the root folder, the root directory of the mind called I. Because you use that word for everything. I am doing this. I wonder if you can help me or help I. You use that word all the time. That's the root directory of the mind. So as you stay in the root directory and you're shining your awareness down upon that bridge, nothing of ego can come because you're looking for the ego. This is what, again, Ramana Maharshi was teaching many of you, was to say, when you stay in I, you are actually looking for this intruder called the ego. But guess what? You'll never find it because it does not have a form. It does not have an image. It is not an object. It's nothing more than a phantom. It's nothing more than a falsehood. There really is no ego. It's just a program that you have bought into and feeling that you need to, again, exist as this separate self. The separate self is an illusion. The separate self has no body of its own. It grafts itself onto your body. And it feeds you all these false impressions like a ghost, like a phantom, so that when you start looking for it, it disappears. And you're remaining in the heart. So self-inquiry is one way. Self-surrender is another. What are you willing to give up so that you can go to God? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Here I am in all this animosity and all this stress and all this high tension flowing through me all the time. Am I willing to let all of that go and just let God handle everything? Oh, yes, I am. That drops. And now you bring yourself to God. You let God take care of everything. This, again, is what's known as the devout path. One who is a devotee, who, again, feels their love for God and gives everything that they feel they are to God. And they let God take care of everything. That's the nature of self-surrender. Now, self-inquiry and self-surrender really bring you to the same result, that which is God. So again, as we stated, for you to know God, you must be God. So working with the nature of surrender, for example, if that's an option you want to work with, is learning to give up and relinquish all these things and give it to God. When you're working with self-inquiry, you are staying in the I and God is coming to you. So through self-surrender, you go to God. Through self-inquiry, God comes to you. Nonetheless, God is the result. All right.
Okay, thank you. And the second question is, well, firstly, let me thank you and Brad for all the tremendous wisdom that I have gained from you over the last 10 years. And it really is, the question really is, what is it that
Well, again, remember, Brad's not going anywhere. It's
I
just
know
the
that.
channeling that's on the way out. He's still continuing to do what he does. That'll never stop in him. And we can guarantee you that.
I am aware, yes, but just acknowledging his wisdom as well. My question
It's really just Spirit's wisdom. He's just being a conduit.
Okay, I stand corrected. Thank you.
Again, that's where you surrender everything. You surrender yourself because there's nothing of a personhood that represents this wisdom. You do not have any personal wisdom within yourself. All wisdom obtained has come from Spirit. Spirit holds all the wisdom. When you realize that, that's your stepping stone towards surrender. You see?
Okay, so the question is, what is it that we humans can do for you?
You've already done it. You've already been doing it since the very first day that we've been connecting with you through this channel. We are again experiencing you. And we wouldn't change a single thing about any of you because we appreciate the gift that you have given us, your perspective, sharing your experiences. You see, we do not have money where we exist in Sirius. There's no money, there's no cars, there's no houses, there's no buildings. Our true currency is the gift of witnessing experience. That's our currency. And you humans have given it to us. So that is a precious gift that we hold very, very dear.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right. We thank you, Sailesh.
That's great. Okay, thank you. So we have a text question from Sanya Kuntz. Dear Adronis, can you please share what is my star origin and where is my star family? Are they incarnated?
What is her name again?
Sanja and then Kuntz with a K.
Sanya. All right. The question is star origin?
Yep, star origin, star family, and are they incarnated?
There is no such thing as a star origin. Please remember this, everyone. There are again other experiences. The origin to which you reside is not found in a star system. It is not found in the mind. It is God. It is Spirit. Every single one of you resides there. That is your true origin. You have no origin in any star system, in any planet at all. No dimensions, no densities. That is not who you really are. The mind is just an appearance. It is a program. It is a design. We are being very, very direct with all of you because so many of you are still confused about this. You don't know your soul. You do not know spirit. And that is what you need to garner within yourself and spend more time in relationship, because that's your nature. That's who you really are. You are not so-and-so from the Pleiades. You are not this person from Andromeda, or even this body here on the earth. You're playing with illusions. You're playing with Maya. Now, it is important that you realize this, because when you realize your spirit, guess what's going to happen? Your suffering will end. We will say that again. It is important that you get to know spirit, because your suffering will end. By you saying, oh, what about this star system? What about that star system? What about this star system? That is not ending your suffering. You are looking at other experiences. Many of you go to these different star systems in your dreams. You're going to different worlds. You're going to different dimensions in your dreams, commonly, frequently. But that's not who you are. Who you are is spirit. Repeat that with us now. Who I am is spirit, period. That's who you are. You are unfathomable. You can never, ever answer who you are. This is what your masters have been telling you for thousands of years. You cannot define who you are. When we come up to you and we say, who are you? You may start to again bring about all this intellectual dribble. Oh, well, I'm this name and I do this type of work. No, 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 no. We're not talking about your name, and we're not talking about what you do. We're asking the question, who are you? Well, I don't know. Yes. Now you understand. You don't know. You do not know spirit, but you can be spirit. That is who you are. We are saying this because we see many of you just asking the same questions over and over and over again, when throughout the years we're telling you, you're not that being in a star system. That's not your origin. You are spirit. That is who you are. You are God. That is who you are. You are consciousness. That is who you are. So Brad will continue to teach you these things over the months and years ahead, because it is very, very important that you grasp what we're saying here. That's what's going to liberate you. That's what's going to end your suffering. All right. Now, Sonia, getting to your question, look to the Pleiades. All right. We thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Specifically,
Sonia?
the star called Alcyone.
Lovely. Excellent. Sonia's second
Now
question.
remember, that's not who you are. All right. That's just a perspective. That's a perspective of the mind, perspective of this little video game machine you call the mind. Intelligent design, but not intelligence. Intelligence is consciousness. The mind is not intelligence, but intelligent design. All right.
Yes, that's great. Thank you very much. Sonia's second question is this lifetime my last incarnation on Earth?
No.
Excellent. Okay.
Because here's the thing. Many of you will think that after I leave this earth, I'm never coming back again. That's a very, very common thing we hear. But guess what happens? That person leaves this world and they come back again. Because they realize everything after they leave. It's like a woman that has a baby and saying, I had the most brutal pregnancy you could ever imagine. I will never go through that ever again. For as long as I live, I swear on a stack of Bibles, I'll never do that again. And now the baby comes together. And now the baby is in her arms. And now a couple of years pass and saying, you know what? I think I want to have another baby again. And then the husband reminds her, hey, you remember what you were saying to me? You said it was the most brutal, harsh experience you've ever had. And now you're saying you want another one. Well, yes, because look what I got out of it. And that's what brings many of you back again. It is a harsh, brutal experience, but look what you got out of it. And say, I'm happy to do it again. And that's what happens with many of you. So many of you say, I don't want to ever be part of this life again. You're just talking like that woman in pregnancy, in transitional labor. But once it's all finished and you look back at everything, you know what? It really wasn't that bad. I'm happy to go back again. This is what happens to many of you. So that would be our response. All right.
That's excellent. Thank you. We have an
Questions?
audio question from Ali Mills. And also, when
we're happy to take 3 more people.
Okay. Please go ahead, Ali.
Hi, hello, Adronis.
Hello, Ali. Welcome.
Hi. Hello there. Thank you so much for how you have handled this transition. I really appreciate how at the beginning you made sure that we could keep our connection to you. And so, yay, I feel wonderful and I've really enjoyed everything this evening.
Yes, of course. We will always be speaking to you, Ellie, because you have the heart to hear us.
Yeah.
And many of you do as well, too, but it's just a matter of opening up the heart. And with that joy comes a very simple connection established.
Yeah, truly. Everything is much more simple than we are making it.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Life
Yeah,
truly is simple. It's not complicated. You're only looking at complication through a separate self. When you are truly the self, everything is so simple.
Yeah. So I've been wondering what questions shall I ask you? I just have so much appreciation and love and thanks. And also, happiness that everything gets to continue. Because I often feel your beautiful support and input. And so
do you see light quite often in your dreams, Ellie?
Yes.
That would be
and
us.
Different colored lights. Yeah.
That would be us. One of those colors of light.
Yeah.
And again, you can talk to that light.
Well, I felt it very much when you took us through that beautiful process of connecting with you.
Yes.
Then, that was really wonderful. And so, so my question, my first question is that recently, almost 2 weeks ago, so 2 weeks on Sunday, I fell and twisted my ankle quite badly. And
what an exciting experience.
Yeah, indeed. And have very much enjoyed showing, my ankle and doing the best I can possibly do.
So here's the idea behind that. Slow down.
Yes. Which
that's what happens when you get your ankle twisted, when you feel like your mobility suddenly becomes limited. Brad, I sprained my ankle. Adronis, I broke my toe, etc. You need to slow down. Your body is telling you, remember to catch your breath. And if you don't, that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't just my body. I mean, I just felt like my whole being, and also all my guides and buddies and everybody just well, this is happening. You are just going to lie down and be in a very expanded
now you can enjoy
state.
some slumber.
And plenty of it. But here's the question. I feel like I'm doing pretty good, and because of course I want everything to be exactly as it was, and my lovely ankle to be just as happy as it was before. But
it won't actually. It'll be a lot more stronger when you heal it. Nothing ever stays the same. It goes back into that old proverb. You can never stand in the river the second time in the exact same space. It's always a different river every time you stand in it. So that's the same thing with life. You're never in the same river. You are never in the same body. The body will always go through change. How it decides to change is up to you in regards to how you see the perspective.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, because that's exactly what happened. It's because I am very busy and active and, like to serve as much as possible, and sometimes in a very direct way where I'm physically present, and I move a lot. And so for joy, you know. I like to move a lot. And so yeah, it was like I was literally laid out, and that's exactly what I got. I was like, okay, I'm going to completely reform myself. I'm going to be like, you know, my blueprint. I'm going to like be my higher self, because I felt like, you know, I was being placed into a state of stasis. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make the most of that state of stasis.
Ellie, we don't want to cut you off, but again, we do have other people waiting. Do you have a question?
Okay. Well, yeah, so the question was, I felt as if there was a bit of interference at the moment when I fell, like that was connected to a statue. That's how it happened. I was looking at the statue, and then it was as if I was being pushed over and went kind of like, oh, yeah, as if there was some
This is
kind
more
of
so on the idea
mesmerism.
of just the breaking of concentration.
Okay.
You were concentrated, and therefore you broke that concentration, and that was the static.
Okay, so nothing, I'm not doing a good job of
Well,
guarding myself against.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I felt as if it was, if this is how it felt to me, as if I was supposed to be put off track, but then I took it to be a really positive thing and actually put myself even higher on a different track.
Yes, you're not taken off track in that sense. You're just basically stopping where you are so that you can recover, so the track can resume.
Okay. Okay, wonderful.
It's basically a pit stop, you could say. It's like,
yeah,
again,
your
F racers, where all those speedy cars are going around the track, and now they have to go in the pit because they have to get maintenance done. They got to get their tires changed. They got to make sure the vehicle is now functioning properly. Well, that's all you're doing. You're in a pit stop.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. Bless you. And
so again,
yes,
it's just the idea of the lapse of concentration to where you felt that interference to when the injury occurred. But the injury, again, is just the nature of the pit stop that you require so that you get back on the road much greater operating than you were before.
Exactly. Bless you. And so I'm aware, you know, of the other people. And so I'll just throw the second part of my question over to you, and anything else that you would like to add, so that I can be the happiest and of the greatest service. That is my wish.
Slow down. You have all of these thoughts coming within you, and it's like a thunderstorm. And you have all of these thoughts coming through you, and it's not allowing yourself to rest. Enjoy the moment. Stop thinking.
Okay.
Come into the moment and just be. And when you learn how to be, not just yourself, but everybody else, when you learn how to be, this is the greatest moment you can bring yourself, because you're still. And when you're still, your body can regenerate. Your mind can regenerate. Everything about you regenerates when you learn to be still and to learn how to be. That's the greatest gift you can give yourself, because that's the essence of spirit. It's silence. Keep quiet, be silent, and be.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
That's exactly what I've been doing. Bless you. I love you.
We thank you. Our love to you, Ellie. Thank you. Questions?
Okay, we have another audio question from Plamen Peeve. Please go ahead, Plamen.
Hello.
Plamen, hello.
Do you hear me?
We do.
Yes, hello. Hi. I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding food problem.
Food.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's like the overall effect of I feel it almost everywhere. Food at home and food everywhere have this kind of really bad smell.
A bad smell of food?
It's like, I think I'm sensing the energy of the food.
The energy of the food. So you will, for example, be in a space where there's no food present, but you're still smelling food.
No, I mean the food itself had this very unpleasant smell that I also feel in myself after I eat it.
Yes. So we would suggest in that sense an internal detoxification.
Yeah.
So we would suggest in that sense working with alkalinity. We would suggest working with ozone. We would suggest working with the healing code card, specifically within the sinuses.
Yeah, this is where I have a lot of pressure.
Yes. So again, it's basically debris from what you're feeling within yourself that remains. That in that sense, when the food touches you, that is what you're detecting in that sense. It's the idea of a sinus situation.
All right. But it's like I can help myself clearly through
yes,
physiologically.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
You're just cleaning yourself out. You're detoxifying.
Yes.
It's old debris that's kept inside the sinuses, that's kept inside the tongue, that's kept in the throat. Some of it's even in the stomach as well, too. You just want to clean yourself out. A lot of it can be fungus. So you want to clean all that out.
All right. I've been doing this for a long time.
Look into simple organic antifungal treatments, antibacterial.
Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thank you. Anything else?
The second question, I also been noticing like I'm manifesting gray items, gray technology, gray clothes. I also
Gray,
in
as
my
in
dreams,
the color gray.
yes, I also see in my dreams, I see myself with my gray jacket.
Yes.
Is this
So
related
what's
to-
stopping you from bringing in some more colors in on your reality? What's stopping you with putting
I'm
in
actually
some more,
curious about
shall
it.
we say, vibrant colors?
Yes.
Well, because you're keeping yourself neutral. It's the manifestation of a neutrality. When you're
Yeah.
looking at the gray, you're looking at the silver in that way. You're looking at the in-between, right? But the whole idea is it's okay to express yourself. You do not have to be dull in that way. Look into
Okay.
the idea of vibrant colors that bring happiness out of you. Look into vibrant blues or vibrant purples, vibrant reds, vibrant blue, oranges, vibrant yellows, etc. All of these different forms of colors, even in, again, rainbow spectrums. Look at the idea of the color vibration that's available in your reality. Take advantage of it, you see?
Okay, absolutely. Well, thank you,
All right.
Adronis, and
We thank you for your question.
bye for now.
Goodbye. And the final person.
Okay, we have an audio question from James Howard. Please go ahead, James.
Yes, I'm sorry. How you doing, Adronis?
Hello, James.
I have a question about, excuse me, Fukushima. Could you give us an update about where that is going?
It has basically come under a lot of containment for quite some time. Now, basically, there are certain forms of technologies that were used to basically, in that sense, evaporate, as you would say, or dispel much of the technologies that were actually coming from off-world assistance. So there were, in that sense, certain members of the Japanese government that were actually getting these hints. It was not something in that sense that was a plain sighting. It was more so in the idea of constructive thought that would help to contain it. Now, there are still certain radiation levels at the level of Fukushima, but nowhere near to how they once were.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And the next question would be concerning the military industrial complex.
Yes.
Could you give us some insight on that?
Well, that's a very extensive topic. What exactly are you looking for?
Will we, as a global community, is the military industrial complex good for us or not?
Well, that depends. There are, shall we say, two sides to the coin here. There are those in that sense that are still very much obedient to what you would know as the old players or the dark players. But the idea is that there's a much more greater turning of the tide. We would say that that one side of the coin is starting to diminish a little bit, and the other side of the coin is more intact. So we would say that a greater majority of your military, particularly within the United States, are moving more so in the favor of the counter forces or the white hats or the alliances. So many of them in that sense are also going to revolt in time. And this is going to lead in that sense to the dismantling of old infrastructure that represent corrupt means to serve.
Thank you very much.
All right, we thank you. We thank each and every single one of you once again for the opportunity of this interaction. We thank you once again for the near 13 years of allowing ourselves to be present with each of you, to again be truly rewarded by the experiences that you have shared with us. It means a great deal to us, more than you could ever know. We want you again to know that we are always with us, whether Brad is channeling us or not. We are always here. We are always available. You can tune into our frequency and you can still connect with us if you decide to do so. We want you again to know that where Brad is going is moving into something far more profound than interacting through a channeling state, and that he is going to continue to work with this and blossom in that way. And we would appreciate you continuing to support him in this way, because he is very devoted to helping all of you understand much of this information that flows through the nature of spirit, because that's where our information flows. This information is not through ego. This information is coming right from the essence of spirit, through us, through Brad, and through his body to all of you. So continue to support all that he is doing, as he will continue to support what you are doing as well. Help each other out. That's what's going to make the greater prosperous time upon your planet Earth happening, when you are supporting one another. So again, our deepest, heartfelt, loving appreciation for you through this final transmission. I am Adronis of Sirius. We send you our infinite love, infinite gratitude, infinite compassion, and know that we are always here with you. Goodbye. All right. Thank you, everybody. What a magical event this was. Thank you, Zach, for being here as well, too. Glad the internet held up most of the way.
Yes, thank you. That was really amazing. And again, like so many have said, thank you so much for everything that you've done and will continue to do.
We're going to have fun. We're going to have an amazing time after September 1st, right? There's going to be a lot more stuff happening. I still do have a couple of Adronis events to do. But like I said, this is the one that's public. So this will be the last public channeling on my YouTube channel. But I'm actually talking to people of Japan tonight, doing an event for them. There's also going to be another Adronis book in Japanese that's coming together. So there's a company I have an association with called Voice Japan. So I'm doing a transcribed book with them, with Adronis. They want to get a hold of Adronis before he leaves. So if you guys speak Japanese, then you guys can always check out that book. But it's pretty much a lot of the stuff about Adronis is shared. I don't think it's anything new particularly. It's just a lot of this information that you already find on the videos that will pretty much be in that book, right? And if there isn't, then I can basically give you guys some transcribes of it, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. But that's what I'm doing here for the next couple of days. And then there's still a couple last sessions that are coming up. So right up until the end of August 31st, I have Adronis. And then basically what happens is midnight, August 31st, the cord severs. Because some people ask me, oh, Brad, is there still a point where one day you may bring Adronis back? Nope, never again. Not in this lifetime, right? After the cord is cut, that's it. We're done, right? So this again is the big thing. Because in the past, I've had it like in 2012, I took a break from Adronis for 3 months because I was doing conscious matrix communication, right? And then 3 months later, I felt, yeah, it was good for Adronis to come back because a lot of people kept asking about him. And I still had that contract. Basically, what's happened is this contract between Adronis and I is just ready to expire. It was ready to expire quite a while ago. And they said, well, just set a date. Okay, August 31st. That'll be the date to where this expires. Because I do not personally require it anymore, right? A lot of people just like to talk to Adronis. They love his personality. But I said, that's great, but that's not really what I'm here to do, right? And it's time just to kind of sever the cord and get rid of the net and now just start sharing all this information naturally through spirit, which I feel I'm ready to do. So that's going to be the next journey. But like I said, you guys can still contact Adronis, right? He talked to you about just focusing on his name, right? And I get so many people keep calling him Adronis, right? Andronis. Like, where are you guys getting that name? There's no N there, right? It's Adronis, and it's not Adonis, because if you're typing in Adronis or if you're typing in Adonis, you're looking at 2 different vibrations, and that's not his, right? It's Adronis, right? So make sure you spell it properly, right? Capital A, capital D, capital R, capital O, capital N, capital I, capital S, okay? That's the same thing with Rayar as well, too. If you want to connect with Rayar or Adronis, you can still connect with their bandwidth, okay? You can still connect with their connection. That's still available for all of you. But nonetheless, thank you, everybody, for being here for this free event. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you can review this on YouTube, okay? The recording will be on my YouTube channel. And thank you, everybody on YouTube, for checking this out as well, too. I appreciate it. And I will speak to you all guys again this coming Friday for the next New Earth TV Live. Again, Zach, thanks for being here. Thanks for moderating. And take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you. Much love.
Take care. Much love. Goodbye.